Now that I have your attention, you dopamine-craving goblins, let's get this started. As you know, for quite some time now, I've been held at gunpoint and forced to watch One Piece, and I'm about halfway through right now. And so I've been thinking to myself about a new type of video to make, and that's where I got the inspiration for this a little while back. But I've already made a ton of videos about One Piece, and I'm sure you guys are already very aware of how I feel about the show, so let's mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna do about a show that I've actually already finished to get a proper input on this. This is a new type of video. Is it worth it? The idea is that if you're halfway through a show, no matter how short or long, and you don't like it, is it actually worth it to finish it all the way out? Because a common argument I hear from One Piece fans is it gets better, it gets better, it gets better. It really doesn't. And I'm curious, does it actually get better? And that's what I'm going to be breaking down in this. Our first show on the chopping block today is Naruto. As you might have been able to guess, I'm actually a huge Naruto fan. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. I don't want to get copy striked again. Naruto's first episode isn't anything too special. Personally, I like it. It has a soft spot in my heart, but overall, it's not the best by any means. Its animation is just okay, and it's nothing to brag about as far as first episodes go, like Berserk's. But the first major arc, not including this little school arc for obvious reasons, the first major arc is probably one of the better ones. This is the best first arc I have seen in any anime. My Hero's dog shit. One Piece's boring as fuck, but the Misty Bridge arc or whatever it's called is one of the best. It sets up the main characters so well, and yes, there are slow moments, don't get me wrong, where they're either learning about powers and stuff like that. It showcases what the ninja world has to offer in villain terms. It showcases Zabuza, one of the coolest characters, and Haku, who has one of the coolest powers. And you know what the best part about this arc is? They die. Unlike every other show on the planet, these characters actually die in this arc. Now, we do get some filler after this, but the next arc is probably one of the all-time greatest arcs. Let me highlight this real quick. I'm not going to talk about every single part of it, and don't get me wrong, it is just a normal shonen tournament arc. Jujutsu Kaisen had one, My Hero Academia had one, Black Clover had one, but this one's different because of the first round. I'm not going to go into this much detail about every arc, but this one's really important. The first obstacle of this arc is to cheat without getting caught. Effectively, we get the coolest character introduction because instead of seeing them fight or talk or yap for ages, we get to see how they cheat, and this showcases their character and their power without giving everything away. And yeah, a little bit of it's stupid. How the fuck did Tintin do all this? But it's so subtle seeing characters like Shino uses bugs or Ino use her mind transfer jutsu. Stuff like that is why I love the first part of this arc, because it showcases everybody's power without being all flashy about it like Black Clover. And don't get me wrong, we do get plenty of children fighting later on. Somehow the Hidden Leaf Village is just okay with this, throwing them into a massive forest of death. But regardless, I think that this really does deserve a seat on the top 3 Naruto arcs of all time. And the reason why I bring this up and explain so much of this is because unlike One Piece, whose best arcs come later in the show, this is the second major arc. Second, as in you waste no time. This starts almost 40 episodes in, and not to mention, just after that, almost back to back with just a little bit of filler tucked in between. You get the Search for Tsunade and the Sasuke retrieval arc. The Search for Tsunade arc, nothing major, right? But the Sasuke arc is so cool because we get to see just how far these characters have come in one-on-one fights. Now, you know, we don't get to see everybody, but we get to see the highlights. Now, for most anime, that's not really a problem, but I'm comparing this to something like One Piece, where we get 4 boring-ass arcs in a row before something pretty good. And don't get me wrong, going back to Naruto, we get filler right after this. We get almost 80 episodes of filler, known as the Naruto filler hell. If I could, I would have skipped them. But I'm glad I watched them because honestly, some of them were pretty okay. But regardless, I really do get it when people say they didn't like them. A lot of them were just ridiculous. That being said though, now we're getting into Naruto Shippuden. Naruto Shippuden has one of the best starting arcs in all of anime. Again, there's like 2 or 3 episodes maybe of Naruto training once he gets back, but that's okay, that's to be expected. But even this opening scene showing you what is to come is so cool. And the first major arc with Deidara and Sasori killing Gaara, that is such a cool way to start it, because we get to see this major character from the last show after the time skip, and it showcases just how strong the villains are gonna be because they straight up fucking kill this guy. This main character gets his ass handed to him. After that, it's a little bit slow for a little while. We just sort of play catch up. We meet some new characters like Sai. It's not the greatest thing in the world, and we get some filler thrown in there. But even right after that, we jump straight into a filler arc that personally I hold near and dear to my heart. The Three Tails arc, the Gurren arc, whatever you want to call it, this arc slaps for 3 reasons. 1, it has one of the greatest filler villains you will ever meet because she's not just a villain, Gurren. 2, a very unique power system from some throwaway villains. We got a gas motherfucker over here. I don't even know what this dude is. He's all slippery and shit. And last but not least, we get some character development for a motherfucking Shinchuriki. How often does that happen? I'm gonna skip around just a little bit. We're gonna finish off strong. Itachi versus Sasuke and the Sage versus the Pains. These are 2 of the most important fights in Naruto, and they happen back to motherfucking back. These 2 fights are turning points in the series because it shows not only how far our main characters have come, but how scary the villains are going to be coming up. Without spoiling too much at this point in time, we know nothing about this character, and now we see that there's 6 of them. If you are now halfway through Naruto and you decided to stop exactly there after watching those 2 fights and, you know, a little bit of stuff afterwards, but we're not going to include that because there's no major arc. As somebody who's trying to be as subjective as possible, yes, by all means. I think everybody can agree that the arc that comes directly after this is easily in the top 5. And a lot of people would agree that the first half is actually better than the second half. That's not to say the second half is bad, but that's just to say that the first half has better arcs up front. Even One Piece fans agree that One Piece is good, bad, good, bad, good, bad constantly. But Naruto has a pretty steady stream minus some of the filler of good arc. Overall, there's pretty much no other reason besides not wanting to watch 720 episodes of any show. As somebody who's seen all of them, I completely understand that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with not wanting to waste that much time. Naruto is one of the cooler pieces of fiction out there because it bends the normal stereotypes of just main characters and all that stuff. And I won't pretend like it rewrote the genre or anything, but it definitely stands out among other lower tier shonen. And I think even if you skip the fillers, it's definitely worth your time. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.
Your side, no, give him no!